Okay, so we have a quorum, yay. Let's talk about the minutes from last time. And I must say, Magnolia, thank you so much. You did a beautiful job putting together the whole packet for everyone.
Of course. Happy to do it.
Who are you thanking?
Magnolia.
Magnolia. Okay, yep. The minutes went through a lot of permutations due to names going.
Yeah. Any comments on the minutes, changes?
The only thing I wanted to ask is, I had trouble getting onto the computer last time, and I thought I made the meeting about halfway
did.
through.
You did.
I did.
Yeah.
Was I listed as
Yeah.
attending? Oh, I
Yeah, think
was.
so.
Okay.
Oh,
And I knew you were there
On there.
Oh, okay.
and I quoted you, so.
I thought so.
And the only other thing I saw is really kind of picky, just, it says that the next meeting is May 10th at 5 PM. It's actually May 8th, that's today.
Today, right.
Say that again, Jean.
Yeah.
Is that a correction? Or-
The date of the meeting was incorrect.
Oh, okay. On the minutes
Yeah, for the next meeting,
of the following meeting,
right.
the one after. Okay,
Just that very last piece, Janice.
okay. Okay.
Coming down.
There she is, walk around then. Be careful, she'll just jump right up on your lap. I think she's a lap dog. Okay, there she goes. Accessibility plan, yeah, Brandy, she's a crazy girl. Accessibility plan for Concord, so.
We didn't accept the minutes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Any changes to the minutes? Does someone want to make a motion to accept the minutes?
I move to accept
I'll
with
move to do that.
minor corrections.
Okay. And Meryl, are you seconding?
Yes.
Okay. All in favor?
I,
Aye.
Okay, good. Thank you. All right, accessibility plan for Concord. Which Jennifer, do you want to hold that until we get down to the municipal grant?
Sure, I can do that.
Okay, because I think those might fit together. So Valley Sports, got a letter from the, Architectural Access Board because their parking, they were in violation. They did not have enough handicap parking spaces. Since that, I got a letter back from the Architectural Access Board, and so did Valley Sports. They added 2 more accessible parking spaces, so they now are in compliance with the ADA. So that's good. It just took really kind of pointing it out to them, I think. And I believe they put the other 2 spaces around at their back door, which then they've got 2 at the front door, 2 at the back door. Makes a lot of sense. So that's all good. Committee member appointments. So, I got copies of the applications, the green cards, if you will. They used to be green cards. Now they're all online. And there were 4 or 5 people who indicated an interest in the Commission on Disabilities. One was from way back in 2022. I did two things, and Janet and I talked about this, we conferred on this. So I went on LinkedIn to just see if I could learn a little more about the people who had applied. And I didn't get a whole lot of info on LinkedIn, I suppose. I could go on Facebook, but I feel like Facebook has so much junk in it. And I don't really care to find out about everybody's birthday parties and what they had for dinner last Wednesday evening. Yeah, anyway, so the people that had filled out applications, Mina Shardiva, who lives on Hayward Mill Road, is the person that filled it out in 2022. As far as I could tell, doesn't have a real connection to disability issues, but she was interested. She's got a bachelor's degree in microbiology and biochem, and then a master's in microbiology. And she worked for Novartis. So, you know, a drug company. I spoke with her. She said she thought she might be interested still. She was planning to come either tonight or at the next meeting. So we don't see her here. She was planning to come live. So we'll see about her. The next person was Justine Martinelli, who lives on Nathan Pratt Drive. And she is one of the moms who appeared a couple of meetings ago to talk about the playground. I wasn't able to speak with her, but I left a message to ask her if she's still interested. And I would guess she probably is. I think she said something at the meeting that she did attend about, you know, being interested in the commission. So she might be a possibility for us. And we have Jean Johnstone, who was a former HR professional, feels she's knowledgeable in the ADA and DEI. She is the parent of a young person with a disability, and she's got an MBA with an HR concentration, and she is SHRM. She has a SHRM accreditation, which is for HR professionals. I spoke with her. She's very interested in coming on the commission, and she said she would come to the June meeting. She couldn't come tonight, but she plans to come in June. So I think she sounds like a kind of a hot prospect, if you will. The fourth person is Alice No. And I spoke with Alice, and she, I don't know, it might have been the link. She seemed kind of confused. She talked a lot about that we need to do things because there are stores with steps to get into them. And she asked to be on our mailing list or have info about the meeting sent to her. So I told her we could certainly do that. The fifth person is Rose O'Neill. Some of you might remember Rose came to several of our meetings, and I know had even reached out to the town manager, was very interested in joining the commission. Janet and I spoke about Rose, and I think the concern is Rose's view of disability issues is not broad. It's more confined to her own personal needs. And so, you know, she might not be a good member that could look at some of these issues that need a little more nuance to them. So those are the people we have right now. This is kind of combined with the existing member terms. So I heard from 4 existing members who wish to continue on. I heard from Jennifer, Karen, Janet, and Lloyd, all saying they wish to continue on. I did not hear from you, Meryl. I don't know if you're feeling like.
Right.
maybe I
That was my error. I completely forgot about calling you or being in touch. But yes, I would like to continue. And, you know, if you need to have it in writing, I can jot something down.
Yeah, I don't think I need anything in writing right now. So that being the case, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, including Peter, who is new on the commission and has years on his term. And I guess according to the records, I have 1 more year. So that would give us 7. We still need 2 more members. 2 more. So I'm hoping that Janine Johnstone, who has a young adult son or daughter, and Justine Martinelli, who is the mom of a young child. I'm hoping they might be good members for the commission. So we can, I think we can sort of hope that they choose to come on. And then we would be at 9. We could, if we wanna kind of hedge our bets, we could ask the town to send out a notice saying the commission is looking for members. And please, you know, make an application, fill out the green card if you're interested. Or we can, you know, see what happens with these 2 prospects and wait.
Yeah.
So I open that up to thoughts from other members.
And I think we should just go with what the cards we've got and see if we get enough people.
Okay,
Yeah, I would
I
agree that
think-
we, to see how responsive they are.
hold
just
on this
even
for
to-
now and
yeah.
see. Yeah, okay. So I believe
Jean,
that,
real quick, sorry, how many members in total are we allowed to have?
9.
Okay, so these 2 spaces would fill us up to our maximum capacity.
Yeah.
Okay,
Correct.
thank you.
And I think it's wise to have 9 members.
Agreed.
That gives us a quorum of 5, and, you know, just because people have other things in their lives and so forth. You know, sometimes people aren't able to make it. Peter got in touch with me earlier this week and said he was really sorry. Somehow he forgot and booked something else the same night. You know, promises to be at next month's meeting, so hopefully he'll be here. I do, as chair of the commission, I do want to reach out to Lloyd because he's missed many meetings. He says he wants to stay on, but he's missed more meetings than he's attended. So I want to have a conversation with him before June to find out, is he really interested?
Jean, can I remark on that? I don't know if it's a matter of whether he's interested, but whether this commission can afford to have a person on it who doesn't come to the meetings without advance notice. I mean, that's not a position that other commissions would tolerate. And so I appreciate that there's reasons, but I don't know if this should be up to someone else to decide. Do you know, I don't know, if someone's interested, I suppose that there's a period of time where one could say, you need to come to these meetings, including the one tonight.
Yeah. Right.
And I just don't think it's a matter of interest. I think it's a matter of enacting enacting an agreement. So if one has agreed to participate and then fails to participate, I don't think it's a matter of interest. I think it's a matter of whether or not this commission is willing to continue having members that just don't show up.
Well, I think at a minimum, I can have the conversation with him about, if you are interested, you need to come to the meetings, and you need to come to every meeting. Unless you've got a really viable reason why you can't come to the meeting. So, if you wanna be, for all of us, if we wanna be on the commission, we need to prioritize it.
Yeah,
Does
exactly.
does he give a reason for not coming?
I'm sorry?
Does he give a reason for not coming?
I did not hear from him about tonight's meeting. I'd say 50-50 when he isn't here. He's contacted me and said, I won't be able to come. Sometimes he said why, sometimes just I'm not able to be there. So, I mean, we all have busy lives. We all have other things. I mean, it's a gorgeous evening. As much as I love you all, I'm sure we would all love to be outside taking a walk or sitting in the yard or whatever and enjoying some hours of sunshine, particularly given the otherwise somewhat dreary week. So I will have that conversation with him, that if he is truly interested, he needs to put the effort into coming to the meetings. And then I think the other piece, and Magnolia, maybe you can correct me if I'm not right about this. I believe the other piece is either right before or right after town meeting, I need to send something to Carrie and make the case for why the various members who are on this commission need to retain their spots. And I think there's good reason for all of the rest of the people, all the rest of you, you represent a variety of disabilities, a variety of disciplines and occupations and other people. So I think that I can make a good case for everyone. And we'll see what Carrie has to say about it. By my understanding of the town rules are that if a member has specialized ability or reason that they are needed on any given committee, that they can serve another term. In addition, if that doesn't fly with Carrie or a select board or whatever, then we have the state level, which doesn't really have term limits. So I think we can feel fairly confident that we can keep our group together, mostly as it is, hopefully with a couple new members, and then Lloyd deciding he's either gonna show up or step away. Yeah, Janet.
When the term limit thing was put in place, the selectmen used to, like, for instance, if you wanted to be a selectman, you ran repeatedly. And so it didn't give anybody else a chance. But there's nobody who wants desperately to be on this committee. There's not the same thing. So I think that we can be excused for allowing people to serve longer than the 2 terms.
I think probably those 2 moms want pretty firmly, at least, maybe not desperately, but pretty firmly to be on the commission. And the only other one that I know that's really wants to be on the commission is Rose O'Neill, who we, sort of said is probably not gonna be a good solid member for the kinds of work that we do. So, yeah. So your point is well taken, Janet.
Thank you.
Okay, so can we talk about the Or well, anything else about existing members, potential new members?
Does anybody know any of the people who Jean mentioned?
I actually do know Jean.
Yeah.
I volunteer with her at Open Table. And, her son also volunteers.
Mhm.
I'm sure that's her name. And I didn't know she had an interest and,
Oh.
I've never talked to her about this, but I would, think she would really be a valuable member addition. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
okay, great, good. All right,
Who was that? Which person were you talking about?
Jean Johnstone.
yeah, Jean Johnstone, the one
Jean
who has
Johnson.
an adult son with a disability. And then
Great.
Justine Nelly is the one who has a child with a
Mhm.
disability.
I think she's already displayed, you know, by my recollection was that those two women had put a great deal of effort and work into that particular issue, and if
Yeah.
they're interested in being part of this commission, I would
Right, exactly, yeah. and I-
really support that.
Right, and I think they very appropriately went to the playground committee and to the school. And didn't get the kinds of answers they wanted, and then they brought it here. And, and we looked into it and sort of pushed on it, and I think this ended up with a great result for that playground.
I agree.
It's fabulous.
So kudos to them
Right.
for their work there.
Absolutely.
Okay. So the municipal improvement grant, which is coming up relatively soon, that seemed like, so the grant opened May 1st and it goes until June 13th, so it's quick. And hopefully Jess can jump in on this and do some work when she gets back. But it looked like one of the things that they would do is to fund an accessibility plan,
Yeah.
not the whole big,
Mhm.
$100,000 plan, but the initial kind of plan that we talked about. So, that could be a huge help to get some dollars to get that going. Do you want to talk about the accessibility plan, Jennifer?
Sure, sure. That's really exciting to hear about the municipality improvement grant, because it is expensive to have one of those town assessments done. So maybe what I'll do is, so first of all, there's still more work to be done. I'll give you just the highlights right now. And again, it's just like very short, just the highlights of what I was able to glean from my first pass. And then maybe we could talk about what the next steps might be. So just to review, the ADA requires all towns to have what's called an assessment. And the assessment is basically a self-reflection of a town's particular ADA compliance. Some towns hire third-party professionals to do the assessment of their town. Some towns don't. Once the assessment is done, what it is a document that describes where the gaps in accessibility are in the governmental services and buildings that provide services to the citizens of that town. So it's a requirement to have one of these ADA assessments on record for every town. Concord's assessment was done in 2006 as required. Concord hired a third-party professional group. They paid them, they came and they put together a document in 2006 that Jessica very kindly dug up out of the, I don't know, dusty bin somewhere, because it is not the document that is online. It's not, it should be, but it's not available online. That might be a moot point right now because it was done in 2006. In 2010, the ADA was updated. The ADA was updated in 2010, and it gave a grace period of a few years, 2012, to start to implement some of the changes that were indicated in that 2010 upgrade. So our assessment from 2006 is going on 20 years old now, and it belongs to what we would call the old ADA. So no matter how good that assessment was, it's probably got a few gaps, right? Because the ADA has been changed since 2010. So what I did is I went through the report, the 2006 report, and I just pulled out some of the things that it said that jumped out at me that I thought I would share with you. Does anyone have any questions yet before I continue? Okay, so the overall summary, and there's a lot of good news here. The overall summary that was created in 2006 in our Concord assessment is that the majority of the incidents, the majority of the moments or gaps in accessibility in the town were, quote, readily achievable, unquote, to make compliant. Repairs and modifications that were required were not major repairs. And with those minor repairs, many of the inadequacies could be brought up to code. These are things like counter height, door hardware, signage, some parking lot striping. So if you think about it, those are pretty, easy things to fix. And that's really what the report said, that the majority of the problems were things like that. There are other problems that they encountered, which they would call not readily achievable, but they call them capital investment problems. And these are modifications to entrances to buildings, modifications to accessible routes. These are things like ramps that are too steep, say at Town Hall, doorways that are too narrow, recreational facilities that are just not accessible, such as the Emerson Field tennis court, the Emerson Field pool. There are many missing pedestrian curb ramps across town, and those are harder to fix all at once, of course, right? That's a huge amount of money, a lot of disruption across town, but they're indicated in this report. There are two areas that were particularly problematic, and one was Town Hall, and one was the umbrella at 40 Stowe Street, because both of those facilities serve the public as government, as institutions that are supported by taxpayers. And as we know, both the umbrella building and townhouse building have been updated since 2006. So a good part of the driver behind those updates was the accessibility improvements that needed to be made for both of those facilities. So that's excellent news. And those buildings were updated post 2010, right? So those buildings were able to capture the changes that were made in 2010 that we have now in place. There's two more things that the report highlighted that I'll share. One was the impression on behalf of the group doing the assessment that the town, in hiring a third party to achieve the scope that they did, was demonstrating commitment and attention to the inclusive community, to an inclusive community to people with disabilities in line with the ADA. So it was complementary in that sense. They did say that there were many more opportunities that they didn't identify individually, but there were many more opportunities to meet what's called the stretch code for accessibility. So just like in our energy code in Massachusetts, there's what's required, and then there's if you're really committed to this, you could go a little bit further. We're not going to hold your feet to the fire to do that, but here are the exact recommendations that we would make. Typically, those recommendations in the ADA are the precursors to required elements in the next update. So it's not something I think we have to identify and go after right away, because there are actual non-compliant things that we need to look at in town. But there are many opportunities to achieve stretch code. And what was said in this 2006 report is those stretch code opportunities were particular to people that use wheelchairs or mobility devices and folks with low vision. Those are the two populations in our disabled community in Concord that were having the most difficulty moving around and accessing government programs, town programs. And so that's kind of the report in a nutshell, the 2006 report in a nutshell. Since then, the only update that has been done, and this is something that I've talked about in prior meetings, the only update to this report that's been done is a survey of all of the sidewalks in town. And the survey was done by Public Works, because Public Works put together a schedule for either repair or implementation of new sidewalks that need repair for the purpose of accessibility, and that includes curb cuts or curb ramps. A good chunk of that report that Public Works put together about our town's sidewalks is in like 2030, 2035, 2040, 2045. And so it's basically a kind of demonstration. The report that was put out is a demonstration of how little funding our Public Works has to put towards making our sidewalks more accessible, and how far out they need to go, because it's moot, right? By the time they get to that, the ones that they just repaired, 6 years ago are going to be in need of repair again. So it's kind of a silly report. And it only addresses sidewalks. The ADA's assessment, the one that's required by law, is not just about sidewalks. It's about access to town programs. That includes voting, it includes town meeting, it includes recreational programs that are offered at the town level, it includes our schools, it includes all of our town government spaces and employment opportunities. It includes all those things. And a good portion of that was actually not included in the 2006 report. So I think that there's a lot to unpack here in terms of what our commission would like to do, or not so much what like to do, but what our commission would like to recommend, I think, and how to prioritize that. So what I think might be helpful is if someone else on our commission is really invested and interested in this, I would love to have a partner to work on this. I can only have really one, or I think maybe two other partners before we start to get into conflict with our open meeting law. But we would make like a little subcommittee if that's interesting to people. I don't want to shut anyone out of this process. But what I think might be most helpful is the New England ADA Center has a really helpful checklist for towns that are interested in either developing a brand new assessment or in revisiting their existing assessment to bring it up to date. And what I think maybe I could do is at our next meeting, is try to incorporate this kind of checklist that the ADA, New England ADA Center uses, and with what maybe some of the issues are with our current 2006 plan, and try to bring those together into some kind of general recommendations that our commission can consider. I think that's how I would make, I think that's how it would be easiest for our commission to kind of get at, you know, what the typical strategies are for how to move forward to do anything. That's the ADA checklist. And then here's our plan. Here's Concord's assessment plan. These are the things that are missing from the original plan that we could add into an update. And then these are maybe some of the things from the original plan that didn't get addressed that we could also add into the update. Any thoughts, questions?
Janet,
Maybe I missed this, but this original plan, is that from the state or from us?
So the original plan, Janet, is a plan that the town of Concord paid a consultant
Oh, right,
to
okay,
come and to put together.
yeah, okay,
In full disclosure, I have worked in my professional life, I have worked on a team that, for example, that did an assessment plan for Georgia Tech, like a 450-acre college campus. And even when you're only dealing with a college campus, I can tell you that it's a lot of work, which is why there are consultants out there in the world who that's all they do, is they do these assessment plans for towns or campuses, or, you know.
you said that and it didn't sink in, yeah.
so Jennifer, I'd be willing to work on it with you. Let me ask you, is this just an outlandish idea in terms of timeline? So you're talking about pulling this together for the next meeting, which
Right.
would be June 12th, I think.
You're probably right. June 12th
June
might be too soon.
The municipal ADA grant cycle, the ending for applications is June 13th. I know. So is it at all reasonable if you and I work on this, that we could pull something together that Jess then could put into a grant application?
Yeah, I think that's a much more simpler and straightforward way, Jean, to do it. And because I think there's already enough. The fact that our plan is from 2006 and
yeah.
doesn't incorporate the most recent changes to the ADA, I think is a very strong way to lead off a need for an updated new plan. I think that between that, I think some of the population statistics in our town would be really advantageous to put into that grant. But I think if you and I work together to try to develop the talking points for Jess to put a grant proposal together, I think that's what we should aim at. And I don't think that will take very long.
Okay. All right, so we're assigning this to Jess. She isn't here to say
I
no.
know. I know.
If you get a little help from Magnolia on it. But my thought is, you know,
That's why you have to show up at meetings. Otherwise, people load all the stuff on you.
Right.
You don't show up.
Exactly. So some of the components of the grant request, she could sort of work on in advance. Asking for letters of recommendation from other entities in the town or the select board, whatever. And you know, she should be able to pull together some of the pieces. She could put together a draft of the letter, the cover letter, those kinds of things, and if there's other sort of documentation that's needed. You know, again, I haven't gone online to look at what the actual grant requirements are, but you know, she could get some of that stuff done ahead of time. And maybe if you and I get together in the next couple of weeks, we can work through this and give her some meat to put into the grant proposal, or, you know, to propose a planning grant. And I think you're right. I think we would have a pretty good chance of getting something.
Right. Yeah, I think if you and I sit down and make the argument basically for why the grant is a good idea for Concord, to get a new updated, ADA transition plan. They're called transition plans. So just to finish, just to explain that, they're called transition plans because it's basically the list of stuff that you need to fix, right? And so the idea is that if you have a transition plan, you know, as a town, you know where the problems are and you can prioritize them and start to fix them. Unfortunately, what happens a lot is that a town makes the transition plan and goes, okay, great, we made the transition plan. Thank you very much. We're done now. And of course, that's not really the goal of a transition plan.
Right.
The goal is to point it out. So I think if you and I could make that argument for a new transition plan, I think it would be helpful, because if we don't get the money from the grant, we still need a new transition plan. And I think that
maybe your sources of grant money.
yeah, that's right. Or technically the town is required to have this damn plan. It's the law, right? So, and our plan is not updated. So I know the town doesn't want us to, you know, use our position as a hammer, and that's not the intention, because I do think if we can find some grant money, it would be excellent. But I think that if we could find a way to move forward with the town, even if we don't get the grant money, I think it would be really helpful. So my point here is, if we have arguments to make about why it's really important to have the transition plan updated, it's a conversation we can have with the select board.
Yes.
So I think it's a good step to have just for the grant, but even if we don't get the grant, I think it's good to have this kind of, you know, letter or document or list to be able to argue for an update to our plan.
Right. Okay.
In this document, there's reference to planning grants are awarded for creating or updating a self-evaluation. Is that actually like something you can use as a basis for this, or fill it out? Or I didn't actually look at it myself, but is it a?
So I'm not sure.
How do you
So tell me again, what are you looking at? A document that the grant has identified?
It's in this packet. The packet.
Oh, sorry,
Municipal ADA improvement grant, and it's on page 3.
okay, I'm looking.
Planning grants are awarded for creating or updating a self-evaluation and or transition plan, and there's a link. Is that at all helpful?
Yes,
That's
exactly what we're doing. Like the transition plan and updating it is exactly what we want to do.
Right.
So,
Okay.
so I'm not, because I haven't gone to the link, I'm not exactly clear if there's something there. I think yes, I'll go check it out. Again, the ADA, the New England ADA Center has an excellent collection of resources, including a kind of checklist, right? And like, so that link might send us to something like that, which would be really helpful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just as an aside, again, this is something we talked about with Jessica in the past. I mean, it might be almost a year ago now, I'm not sure. Time is nothing. So we talked about the differences between hiring a third party to come in and the kind of scope of a project that we could afford. That's one strategy to getting an updated transition plan. The other is to do some of that legwork ourselves, right, as a town, not just the Commission on Disability, but the town, and to do some of that updating, because there's really no one who knows more about where the bodies are buried than the directors of each department in our town government.
Yeah.
And so we had talked about in the past about going to each of those directors or leaders and with a kind of interview, and then leaving behind a checklist or a sheet, you know, that might allow those directors to say, yep, I know that this, and this is all good, but I do know that there's this, and this, and then we can start to create a kind of self-made list of the things that the gaps of where the holes are. And again, this comes down to not so much, you know, it's not driven by what our buildings look like. It's driven by access to programs. So, you know, if voting is held in a building that everyone can get in and out of, great. If voting is held in a building that not everyone can get in and out of, you can either move the voting to a place where it works, or you can make a whole bunch of architectural changes to the building that you're having the voting in. And so it's program accessibility which drives this. And that's where, again, I go back to the directors. So like, for example, we go to our rec director, like they're going to know the most about where things are held, how many times they've had to move it, if it's held in a building that's accessible, if it could be moved to a building that's not accessible, etc. So that is a conversation we had once before in this forum, that I think we could probably revisit once we get a better idea about what the grant allows or doesn't allow.
Okay, that sounds like a good plan moving forward. And, you know, if we don't get a planning grant, and just to toss out there an idea, we've got that 5,000 plus in our bank account, if you will. And that might be enough if we can put together the questionnaire kind of thing, if we can do that, to maybe hire a student over the summer to go around to all of those department heads and.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a great idea. That's a great idea. So yeah, so Jean, I'll reach out to you. Maybe like we need just to get our schedules together. We can do it with snacks. We can meet over coffee and snacks, and we can hammer it out. I don't think it's going to be very hard to make an argument. But I will check the grant application first so that we can kind of steer it in that direction before we just willy-nilly start making reasons why we need to do this.
Okay, great. So I don't want to spend a lot of time on this right now, but if you look at your calendar, next Friday,
Yeah.
after anytime in the afternoon.
Okay. Tell me what date that is. It's the 15th?
Yes, even at noon or after that day.
Okay. Do you want to have lunch?
Sure, yeah, let's have lunch and get started. I can
Okay.
come your way and we can have lunch at Barrel Farm maybe.
Oh, perfect. At 1 o'clock?
Sure.
1 or 1:30 on Friday, whatever works for you. I just have to be home by 3.
Okay, well, that gives us a couple of hours.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. I'll put it in my calendar. Thanks, Jean.
Wonderful, thank you.
Mhm.
I'm just putting
Thank you
it.
for doing that. Really.
Don't forget it. I have one more thing that, came up this week that I wanted to just let you all know about. On the 27th at 2 o'clock, it's going to be on Teams. There's, Beth Williams asked to have a meeting about the visitor center ADA improvement, just to do some brainstorming. So if any of you are interested in attending that, I'm gonna be there, Jess Porter's gonna be there, and then two other people that are connected with the visitor center, I guess Steve Dawson and Sandra Harper. So if any of you are interested and available, it's at 3 o'clock on the 27th, 3 to 4. And it's on Teams, so it's all remote.
And what
It's
is
the
the issue, Jane?
The date again is the 27th.
27th, Tuesday, the 27th.
And Jane,
what
what is
time?
the issue?
I'm sorry?
What is the issue? What is the discussion?
It's to talk about ADA improvement brainstorming for the visitor center.
Is there a problem with it now? I haven't been in it hardly, so.
I'm guessing maybe, if they're asking for a meeting. And I don't know. I don't know if this is something that came out of like the 250th. Maybe that shed light on some issues. I have no idea about that. It's something that Beth Williams from the visitor center asked for. She asked if Jess and I could meet, and then these other two people from the visitor center jumped in. And I think it's certainly open to anyone on the commission. If you have the time and you're available, I can send you the Microsoft Teams link for that meeting. And you can join us. Or if you don't have and don't use Microsoft Teams, I can ask them to change it to Zoom.
Could you tell me again what time it is?
It is at 2 o'clock. No, I'm wrong. It's at 3 o'clock, 3 to 4.
I think I could come if,
Okay, great. Wonderful.
so it's right at the visitor center downtown, right?
No, it's online.
Oh, it's online. Oh, that makes it even easier. Okay. So you could send me the Zoom link?
I can do that. Right now it is set up to be on Teams, which is it's another online service, but I'll ask them to switch it over to Zoom.
Oh,
think that-
okay.
That'll make it easier. Some people use Teams, but Zoom is more familiar to most people.
That would be helpful. I have trouble getting internet
Okay,
stuff worked out. So it's the 27th. Okay.
correct. And then I think the only other thing I have is just to remind people that the town meeting starts on June 2nd at 6 p.m. at the high school. And I don't know, Magnolia, do you know, are they going to test better electronic voting this year?
They are testing.
They are testing it?
They're
Okay.
using it, yeah.
No, no, that's fair.
Yeah.
Oh,
You
good.
might know more than I do.
I've been watching some of the select board meetings and they
Oh,
will
good.
be using the electronic voting,
Yeah, that one.
Okay, anything else from anyone else? Janet?
Are we on to other business?
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah.
I mean, do you want me to bring up What's on my mind under other business? Okay. I was reading in the paper today, in the bridge, about a discussion about connecting to the sewer with the new lavatories at the football field. And I feel, this hasn't happened yet, but I feel that this is going to be a reason not to put, that people are going to protest the amount of money it's going to cost to switch that facility to the sewer line. And I feel it might doom it, which I think would be a shame. I don't think that I think the general public sees this as a luxury. They don't see it as a means of people in wheelchairs or walkers getting into being able to use the facilities. So I think it's been badly sold. And I think that at town meeting, if this is going to come up at town meeting, did you just say it was? I've forgotten. Did somebody
I
say
believe the amenities building is on the agenda for town meeting.
it's what?
The amenities building is what they're calling it. I think that is on the agenda for town meeting.
And I think it's going to get creamed if it's going to cost a lot of extra money to catch to the sewer line. And I just wondered what we should do about that.
Yeah, Jennifer.
So the town has to do something. I mean, it's not really an option of whether or not the town needs the amenity building. They're out of compliance. So graduation is held there. Like they have to do it. Now, do you remember what I was saying about the transition plan? How the transition plan can buy towns an indefinite amount of time? Because there isn't enough pressure on the town to implement or to put together changes that are identified in the transition plan. There's a similar situation here where if someone complains about their civil rights to access being denied, then the town, in this case Concord, over at, when it comes to the amenities building, would likely get notified by the access board, by the Justice Department or some arm of it, and then the town would be on the hook to do something about it. The issue then would be, well, how long of a period of time is allowed before the town does something? And one can argue that that's indefinite under some circumstances of planning and refiguring it out and planning, but I don't think the town, Janet, I think everyone is pretty clear that this is a requirement, no matter how expensive it is. It's not the accessibility issue that our sewer system is overtaxed, literally, and cannot manage more capacity without a great deal of complications and expense. So I don't think those two trains are likely to be, people might try to hook those together, but they really have nothing to do with reaching compliance. So I think part of what the town, and again, I'm speaking just on like some old information, I don't know if it's been updated since, but the number of lavatory spaces that were required are really high, given the kinds of usage that they might get down there on the field, at least on a regular basis. And so I think a waiver was requested to try to lower the numbers, but that wouldn't take away the accessibility piece of this. So just to finish, I think that ideally what would be really helpful is for us as a commission members to become educated about what the existing what's the situation right now with regards to the amenities building, what's being proposed, how much are they proposing that it costs, get as much information as we can about the current condition of the argument, and then if there's an opportunity to speak at town meeting, I think that would make the most sense to me.
Can I ask Magnolia, could you look up the warrant about the amenities building and send it to us?
Oh, yeah,
That'd be great.
Article 13.
Article
Okay.
13, okay.
Amenities. Do you want to send it to, yeah, I'll send it.
Yeah, or you can send it just to me, or you can send it to the whole commission. If you send it only to me, I'll send it out, but
Doing that now.
thank you.
Mhm.
Awesome.
I had an idea before meeting on the 27th to go back to that previous item with the visitor center people. If I think I've never been to the visitor center, so I think I'll make a point of getting myself down there. And if anybody else wants to go or stop by there at some point, and just send me a comment, I'd be interested in seeing what other people have to say about its accessibility, or what they think. I mean, it's totally new to me, so, I just want to familiarize myself.
That would be great. I would suggest if you want to take a look and make a comment, email directly to Meryl. Don't email the whole commission. And Meryl, don't reply to the comments. Just
Right.
collect what you get.
Exactly.
Great,
Perfect.
great. Thank you. Thank you.
I also have a question about meeting during the summer. People often, have summer plans and they're going away. Are we planning to continue to meet monthly during the summer months?
So in the past, usually we have, I think, a year or two, we've taken like the month of August off.
Uh-huh.
I would suggest that I'll put that on the agenda for the next meeting to talk
Okay.
about summertime meetings. And, we can talk, do we need to meet monthly? Can we meet once in the middle of the summer? Do we, or once toward the end of the summer? So everybody think about that and their own plans.
Our next meeting is what date? Because we have
June 12th, let me double check. Yes, June 12th
right.
at
I'm afraid I'm not going to be able to come that day because we're going to be in Denver, Colorado at a family event. So I'm going to be gone for 1 week.
You'll also be away. I'm away that week. Yeah. Okay, so you'll be away the whole week?
Mm-hmm.
All right. What would we think about moving it to June 19th?
I'm here then.
Oh, wait, we
I'll
can't
be
do that.
back.
I'll be.
Oh,
Wait a minute, but maybe,
Is the holiday.
oh, it is, it's Juneteenth, right?
We should do another, maybe the following week.
Oh, that's right.
June
26th.
26th? Oh, we can't do that either. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I am taking an actual vacation this summer.
Oh, yippee.
Years.
Oh, my goodness.
Um. What if we met on Monday, June 16th? Could people do that? Monday, June 16th at 5?
I won't be back yet.
You won't be back.
I'll be gone from,
Oh,
I won't be back till the 17th. So I'm going just the 1 week from Tuesday to Tuesday.
okay.
Or
So,
actually, it's Monday through Monday. Excuse me.
okay. Well, this
So
is-
I couldn't do it.
What if we moved it earlier and met on June 5th?
That would work.
But Jean, I think you're gonna run into a lot of people, not me included. You're gonna run into a lot of people who are going on vacations. And so I don't know that we can accommodate, that we should try to accommodate people just,
Well-
they're on vacation.
Yeah, I agree,
I-
but if we can kind of agree on a date for June that these 5 people here can meet.
Yep.
At least we have a good chance of having a quorum,
Yeah,
Yeah, do what you want, but I'm just
yeah,
giving my 2 cents worth.
okay,
I am available on the fifth.
you're available on the
Yeah.
5th.
I'm available on the 5th.
Meryl, you're nodding your head. Janet, are you available on June 5th? Okay, June 5th it is.
Oh, I'm muted. Yeah, I said I don't have any,
Okay.
my calendar is a blank slate.
All right, well, thank you for accommodating the rest of us who have things.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Anything else, anyone? Okay, it's almost 6:15. Thank you all, thank you for coming tonight. And I will reach out to Lloyd, have a conversation with him about attendance. And then I will find out if we need to, if I need to send a letter to the town before town meeting or after town meeting, and I'll get that prepared and take care of that.
And we're going to, what are we gonna do about the extra members? Are we talking again, or are you?
I will, I'll let them know.
Yeah.
I'll invite them to the meeting on June 5th
Okay,
to come and see what the commission is. And then we can meet them and so forth.
okay.
Does that sound reasonable? Okay. All right. I will see you all on June 5th.